Morning, Moatlhodi.
Morning, Lorata, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Thank you for coming to SUERO TV for an interview. Thank you for doing this virtually.
Pleasure to be here.
You are welcome. Now, let's just get to it. How are you finding being home, working from home, by the way? How are you finding that?
I think the biggest challenge is kind of getting a beat.
Yeah.
How do you separate home from home?
Yeah.
And work when you work from home? So your home literally becomes your work. So just finding your beat to make sure that one productive use of your time, it's just kind of getting a rhythm that works. So you've got a healthy combination still. You're producing for your work and still making time for, home and family and all of it.
Yeah. Do you realize what us entrepreneurs go through now?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I admire that.
Yeah, because also the waking up in the morning, you see, no one is forcing you to wake up. You have to wake up and force yourself to work and dress up and go to the living room.
That's off.
Yeah, that's just discipline. It's very interesting times for everyone around the world. But I want to ask, how has this affected your personal budget? If I can just ask you.
I think for my side, it's been the positive side. In that, because I don't have to be on the road as much.
Yeah.
And so a significant portion of my operational expenses of getting to work and getting around town has significantly reduced.
Yeah.
And also because a lot of just your leisure areas also are closed, so very limited eating out. Don't have to worry too much about lunch at work, grabbing a drink or two after work. So that really, I think that's the part that I like. I'm like, okay. So that saving aspect has really come in handy, and I'm kind of looking forward to experiencing more of that.
Yeah. Do you actually realize the money? Sometimes you can actually save on something, but you don't realize it. Do you make sure that you realize that money and put it aside? Or, okay, this is how much I used to spend on fuel, and therefore let me put it aside. Yeah.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of time with personal expenses like that, you're almost on autopilot, which I think I also realized with myself. When your car has a lot of fuel, I need to fill up.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, but why is it taking 3 days when it typically takes 7 days, for example? So you're almost on autopilot. You are spending because you think it's a necessity, and you're not necessarily putting it in a bracket of, but am I using it wisely?
Yeah.
So now it's now you are conscious, like, oh, I didn't spend that 400 in a week. Oh, I didn't. And then you're like, okay, so it means.
Yes, you can save a lot, actually. And I'm glad you're mentioning that, because a lot of people right now, they're probably wondering, how can I save money right now when times are tough? But there's a lot of savings from this. Well, the food budget for a lot of families has probably gone higher than normal, because people are home, and every time you walk by the fridge, I'm sure, and
there's a reason why there's a fridge right there
behind you.
Easy access.
Yeah, you can imagine. So imagine you're alone. So imagine us with kids. They just want to eat all day, every day. So it's crazy. Yeah. All right. So I want us to actually now get into it and talk about how this is going to affect Botswana. Okay, what's happening in the world and what's happening in Botswana, and how it's going to affect Botswana and how it's going to affect Botswana. All right. There's a recession, right? That's happening now. It hasn't happened in many years, but now this is a different type of recession as the one that was compared about 10, 12 years ago. This one seems like it's going to be deeper than that one. Can you explain to Botswana, first of all, what is a recession, so that we just clarify that first? What is a recession?
Yeah, a recession has got everything to do with when we're experiencing negative growth.
Yeah.
Negative growth in terms of economic growth, and normally, because economic growth really is associated with the production of goods and services in a particular jurisdiction. So in this context, we are almost speaking to a globe-wide or a global recession, and that the world is in entirety, whether you're taking a combination of developed markets, your likes of the US and Europe, the emerging markets, mostly Asia and Africa, are actually experiencing negative growth in the different many countries, which is then going to result in what you call then a negative world GDP growth.
Yeah.
Meaning the production of goods and services worldwide would be, which would be much less than what they were last year or the years prior.
Yeah.
So a recession really just means we would see close to zero or minimal production, which is then impacting growth, because when you're not producing, then it speaks to just the supply of those goods and services that you typically produce for the consumers or the demand market.
Yeah. So what does that mean for Botswana? What does that mean for an individual sitting in Botswana and saying, okay, there's a recession in Botswana. What does that mean for my household income, for instance? Yeah.
Okay, so when you look into the aspect of economics or the makeup of an economy, there's primarily two main things that are the health measures that an economy is doing well. And it has to do with productivity and it has to do with employment.
Yeah.
So an economy that's doing well, it's an economy that's productive, and even better when it's reaching full production levels and full productivity.
Yeah.
So it means then you've got industries that are producing goods and services, that are selling, that are exporting. Equally so, as a result, you then have those industries or that full production giving you an outcome of employment growth. And which is why these two are so correlated and they matter.
Yeah.
So for a Motswana at home, what's very key is obviously the fact that you've got a means to income. A means to income could be if you are employed in a fully productive economy, or if you find opportunities in a value chain to become part of the producer, and you earn your income through that business cycle because you're on the production side, or you equally so earn an income because you are seeing opportunities in these industries or businesses that are producing and you're employed, and you're earning that income. So what it then means is obviously it's a global challenge, in that both production levels and productivity are challenged, and therefore jobs are being lost.
Yeah.
And if jobs are being lost, incomes are being lost, both for individuals and businesses, which has a trickle-down effect to households.
Yeah.
So now for a Botswana or for a Motswana at home, it probably poses maybe a much gloomer picture, in that naturally, the economy is consumption-led. So we consume stuff that is produced outside.
Yeah.
So a lot of our growth is dependent on what's coming out from outside. A lot of the jobs are dependent on industries that are growing elsewhere, and then expanding their roots into other countries like Botswana. So first, that's the challenge with the formal sector. In that the industries that naturally would come in here are now facing challenges. Look at your mining, look at your tourism, look at logistics, to mention a few. We talk about formal sector, even manufacturing, those who are doing the automobile industry, the Hennessy parts and all that. So the fact that the Maga Corporation, wherever in Germany, is reducing a line of production would impact here, because you've got to then follow suit and stop in that production simply because of a decision taken outside. Secondly, a large share of Botswana, even though there's very little in terms of formal acknowledgement or registration, you will find over 30% or so, a significant number of employment comes from informal sector. Informal sector is highly dependent on fundamental economics of, you've got traffic, foot traffic on the road. So that's when you talk about now your hairdressers. That's when you talk about your taxis and your combis. That's when you talk about your
the ladies on the streets, the ones that sell the streets and and Mero and
absolutely, your car washes and all of that. So because that's a significant proportion where the hustle a lot of times. And for you to do the hustle, the hustlers, so for you to do the hustle, you've got to be out in the streets. And so that's also the double hit that we then would see, because there is that economy, which is not formal. So at the moment, because our definition of formal is probably where somebody has got a tax identification number. You've got a business that's registered for VAT and kind of pays corporate taxes or whatever, or you're an employee in a formal sector and therefore you
pay your taxes,
You pay your taxes, and this is an industry now that doesn't have a business DNA or an income DNA, if you might. In that they don't pay those taxes, and they don't, you don't see them in that regard. And therefore, how do you then look into Lorato and say, but Lorato stationing or doing this and this has been earning on average 2,000 in a month, and therefore let me consider them for wage subsidy. That is a challenge. So it's a challenge, but it does have a solution. So you ask the impact. So that's the impact that you then see, because the hustlers are not out in the streets and are getting impacted because cash flow is not coming in. The challenge is, how do you then legitimately, same way you are subsidizing the 1 billion wage subsidy the government highlighted, how do you then ensure that your hustlers actually also get a subsidy to maintain some level of cash flow that they've been getting? Because they are not in that formal tax registration center. But there's a way. In that, remember, I think as a country, we've seen a progression of the financial system. There's been a better financial inclusion. So you've got mobile money wallets. You've got, your e-wallets. You've got your orange monies, your others with the mask home.
So you can trace. That's true. And they really do deal with those a lot, actually.
Yes.
So
it's a financial journey. So and then it only doesn't help you assist during the COVID period. Actually, a better strategy is where you say, okay, how do I get out of this without actually having a crash landing? So you then think, okay, how do I then assist that informal sector? But more than that, you're like, how do I then turn around the entire strategy so that even post the virus and all of that, my economy is better for it. So if you're able to register the hustlers and know I've got X amount of hairdressers, X amount of people in car wash, and this is how much they make on average, guess what? You've just formalized. You register, you formalize. And therefore, what you then do now going forward is you ensure that there's some level of financial inclusion for these industries, and you continue to have a financial journey. And that's why you can even earn other revenue bases for taxes, because they do earn and even monies that go beyond just
formal sector money.
Beyond
Absolutely.
Formal sector money. And also then out of that, you are even able to create clusters. Let's say you're talking about an SMME who produces butternuts and sells it on the street. So if you know in the Kwene area you've got such who then give you produce X amount of tons, if you then use that also to create a cluster, you literally are creating a market for these SMMEs and kind of forming a bit of collaboration. For that informal sector, then it becomes formal, you get in clusters, you also get in benefits because the formal registration means some level of income also comes in. So it's just a combination of those.
So they also benefit. They also benefit because then you create a market for them. You make sure they make the money and you tax them as well. So it's a win-win. All right. No, that's actually a really good explanation. Thank you for that. Just tell her to also explain it in simple terms for a person who actually won't understand the lingo that you've been saying, particularly with the economy at large, is that when the economy pauses, when there is no production, or particularly in the formal sector, it means companies then struggle to pay salaries. And it doesn't necessarily mean they don't want to pay salaries, that they will struggle. A very good example is tourism, like you were saying. I just want to explain this to my followers so that they understand in simple terms. And then in the formal sector, that means people are now not on the streets to basically hustle, sell your morogo or sell whatever for you to have the income in. So what that means now, that means you are not able to feed your family, however way that you've been able to do it. Then now, what can the government do? What kind of help can they get? I got you now how we can trace them. What can they do? And is it sustainable at the same time? As much as there's no production, taxes have been cut. And the decisions that have been made by the government is that we're reducing taxes for companies so that they can subsidize salaries etc. So that means there's no income coming in. How sustainable is this for the government for it to continue, trying to help Motswana out there, the hustler, even the formal sector, whoever salaries or income has been impacted? How sustainable is it, and how long can it go on for?
Yeah. Look, Lorato, what's happening, what we're experiencing now is a perfect storm.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a one of its kind, at least for our current generation.
Yeah.
It's a perfect storm in that because of an event being the outbreak of corona, you then have got a disruption both sides of the economy. The producing side, the supply side. Borders are closed, firms are closed, there's minimal activity. So it really is a perfect storm because it's impacting the two sides. So essentially, when you've got a perfect storm like this, at least in the economic context, you cannot survive it without fiscal intervention. Fiscal intervention has got to do what measures government put in place to protect an economy from overblowing.
Yeah.
The reality is, no matter how you look at it, without some of intervention, you would have a catastrophic outcome.
Yeah.
Businesses would ultimately close and retrench, and that speaks to employment. That speaks to loss of revenue. That speaks to even loss of revenue for government.
Yeah.
So what you then do, the most effective intervention in an economic storm like this is there must be an intervention by government through its fiscal policy. As you've mentioned, your taxes and some subsidies, some guarantees, some moratoriums.
Yeah.
It's all meant to protect an overheating of the economy, because if you don't do that, you'll have an eruption.
Yeah.
So you go in it knowing I've got to take the short-term pain for long-term gain, because you still want to have industries post this.
Yeah.
So which is why you then look at the interventions and sustainability of it. I think with this one, you'll notice every single country in the world is affected. Others much more than maybe Botswana or even much more than other economies. And therefore, the abilities, look at an economy like in Zimbabwe. Even if they desire it, there is very limited room for them to protect it, to protect the economy to the extent that they can.
Yeah.
Botswana is fortunate in that it's only one of the two countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Africa, investment grading.
Yeah.
Investment grading era where a country will get rated on its ability to repay its debt obligations. So when you've got an investment grade, it means that investors will then see you as having a better ability to repay what they lend.
Yeah, you're more credible.
You're more credible, and that speaks to interest rate. It's almost like as an individual, when you go to a bank and get a loan and they're pricing you and say,
it's the same thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So as a country, because we are only one of the two, and with Mauritius, who've got an investment grade, your likes of South Africa even are not investment grade, they are grade and junk, meaning they've got to pay higher interest to borrow. So fortunately, Botswana can borrow cheaper because of that investment grade. And fortunately, we still have reserves that goes into your 80 or so billion pillars. Other countries don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So it means then the key thing here, you're asking about sustainability, is a balancing act.
Yeah.
How much are you doing to make sure that you still have industry standing post this? You still have households actually having a decent livelihoods without a collapse of the system, but at the same time, how you also using that opportunity to rebuild and create new opportunities and generate new opportunities. So it can only become sustainable when you've got a trade-off between protecting and creating that which will give you, a wavelength to pick up. Once then sort of starts to power.
Yeah. Okay, and that comes with at least making sure that the industries in Botswana at least remain sane, however way the government can assist. All right, now let's talk about how how this is going to affect our investments and our savings. Yeah, I want to take it back there now, where you've been saving your hard-earned money, a part of it. How is this going to affect the savings? Because I remember a few years ago when we had the recession a few years ago, my mother, I know she lost a bit of her pension. We lost a bit of our interest that we've earned, So could you kindly just explain what is what's going to happen to our investments and what's going to happen to our savings. One has been saving.
Yeah. Savings is a culture, né? In that it's a pattern. So remember, whatever you're not, let's use savings and investment interchangeably. Whatever you're not saving when investing means you are consuming it.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a conscious level of awareness of your patterns of consumption versus your patterns of savings or investment to start there. And then to your question is, you give an example of your mom savings dip as a result of just what is happening in the market. In the short term, there's pressure, at least on the savings rates or investment returns. And that's because if you look at savings rates, and let's take it in a very simplistic form, when you're looking at maybe your fixed deposit account, your money maximizer in a bank, or an investment instrument at an asset management firm, your investment collective unit. So because a lot of that are what you call money market investments, which means there are more short-term cash investments, which earn a return by virtue of an interest rate. So what you then see now is almost a convergence in policy rates, convergence in the direction. Almost all countries are cutting rates. The Fed rate is close to zero. That's your US interest rates. South African interest rates actually reduced 225 basis points, 2.25% in 3 months, in 4 months rather.
Crazy.
That's a reduction in interest rates, and it's hitting you direct on your earnings, on your bank accounts.
Yeah.
And we anticipate Bank of Botswana to reduce rates.
Yeah.
So again, that speaks to lower interest rates for your savings in your accounts.
Yeah.
So that is the impact that you then expect in the short term, because remember, your accounts, your savings are earning interest, and worldwide, you see that reduction in interest rate. So that is the impact. So it therefore means when you're aware of that, you've got to put in place some kind of hedging strategies or defense mechanisms. What is it that could potentially defend your savings? A simple answer to this could be, look at, in the same instance, while the rates are coming down, there are new opportunities in some other currencies, because they're taking massive knocks than others. Look at the rand.
Yeah.
It's providing almost a natural defense mechanism. If you are somebody who's got cooler savings, you almost have a natural mechanism to defend the loss of interest by actually either saving in a rand currency because it has lost value. So your poolers get you more in rent, and over and above that, if it's a rand account, for example, it probably earns higher income than a pooler account at the moment because of that dynamic. So knowing how that impacts you, you then have to put in place maybe defense mechanisms to protect the loss of capital that you're experiencing. Now, if you look at investments now, as you mentioned in savings, what should typically happen in markets is that there is what you call a lead lag effect. Lead meaning, normally when there is signs of trouble, there are certain instruments or assets that will show you that trouble is coming. And then the lagging ones will only come in much later.
Yeah.
So what you then have is, in financial or capital markets, they will lead an indication of trouble to come.
Yeah.
Which is why as the year started, we started to see your commodity prices, your oil prices crashing.
Yeah.
Your bonds yields coming lower and lower.
Yeah.
And we started to see your equities, your bond, your shares prices actually also dipping.
Yeah.
And guess what? Because that forms part of your portfolio, if you're an investor, say in a pension fund or an offshore, it therefore means your underlying investments are also getting, that return dip or negative return dip, which will then see, which is what I'm saying, lead lag. You're going to see that as you look at your returns for the year. So there's the risk of a reduction in your returns, and that the underlying assets that your pensions are invested in are taking knocks, at least during the cycle. So the expectation then is that will probably play out. And then
oh no, I lost you there. Oh no. Hey, Moatlhodi, I lost you totally, hey? For a good
Oh
1 minute,
no.
yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
means it's getting bad. The internet is getting bad. All right, let's let's maybe continue. Maybe explain that
Okay.
last part. Yeah, the options that will be in place now for you to protect your returns, or at least not lose out. If anything, take your money out in whatever that you're going to expect to. Maybe is it best now to take your money out to terminate whatever that you've invested in? What's the best thing right now to do?
Yeah, I think, okay, so we know with certainty that there is, at least in the short term, we know with certainty that there is pressure on savings rates and investment returns. But the reality, Lorato, is unless you are a serial investor and, you know, a high net worth individual,
Yeah.
there is very little that you are able to do to, say, protect even your investments and pensions, for example, because you
Yeah.
typically invest on a defined contribution fund, meaning you know that every month I'm getting 8% of my income going into my pension, and it's going into a pot, and it's managed by a certain asset management firm, and I've got trustees. So I think the best defense really is information. It's become such a crucial commodity. Crucial commodity, and that, as I've just alluded, with your savings, it also means with knowledge of knowing some of even the savings mechanism that protects you against this kind of dip in prices, you are then able to get a better return. How do I mean? Say fixed deposit. Naturally, they probably will earn better rates than a transactional account.
Yeah.
And some of them will embed in them almost like a guaranteed rate. So it also means, even when you look at your savings, go for an option that is now provided a defense mechanism, either in the form of guaranteeing you a specific interest rate, such that the movement downwards doesn't then hit your balances.
Yeah.
And the other one is also just a natural balancing. You look at your typical mechanisms. Where do you spend and how do you spend?
Yeah.
A lot of us do travel, outside the country in other different markets for different reasons, either leisure or to acquire certain commodities, or you've got kids who are studying in your UK, your US, or South Africa.
Yeah.
So you also then can look into a defense mechanism, especially when we are seeing movements in currencies. If there's an opportunity to buy another currency that you typically use in your normal day-to-day life, then that's how you also
this is
bring
the
a
best
natural
time to
hedge.
buy. Yeah. Like, for example,
Yes,
if you're actually paying school fees in South Africa, you might as well maybe start paying now when the rand is back against the pula. Yeah.
Exactly, because for the same amount of pula, you're getting better rent. So you're actually getting better value for just a simple conversion.
Yeah.
That could be part of that. But then when you look at the investment ones, so a lot of Botswana, we know the investments, yes, here and there you might have shares, and here and there but typically a lot of the sizable amount of investment will probably come in through either you bought an insurance and an insurance asset and edu policy or whatever.
Yes.
So the most important thing there is, again, let's remember the fundamental legislatures around the management of these.
Yes, the policies that you signed.
The policies, the Retirement Fund Act and all of that, we need to be much closer to what our trustees are doing, the decisions that they're making, and the implications when you've got a situation like this. You need to be following closely what your investment managers are doing with your pensions to defend. Because you don't want to come at the end of the year and you're getting
nothing. Yeah. So it's important that they actually go to these guys who have their money and find out what is going to happen to their money and what are they guaranteeing. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's your money. You're not going to wait until the end of the year and hear, it's down 10%. You need to be asking now, what are you doing to defend my money?
Yeah.
What strategies are put in place? Because in as much as there is the negatives that we see in the markets, the opportunities that come with it. So what is the strategy? for defense. And because at the end of the day, when a negative 10% comes, you like, but you committed or you put in place defense mechanisms. So what then happen? That gives pressure for more active management for investments, because otherwise you get a situation where there's more passive management, it's a lazy approach, because no one is really challenging.
So the customer needs to put pressure. Thank you for
It's your
that,
money.
actually.
It's your money.
It's your money. And thank you for that, because, you know, a lot of Botswana have signed these policies that they have invested in, especially the insurance ones, you know, the one that when you terminate, you lose all your money, or whatever. When you terminate before the time elapses, you lose all your money. So it's important that they know that don't terminate yet. Don't just go find out what measures are there in place to protect your money and from you losing the interest that you actually were supposed to earn, and put under pressure. So do they need to sign something? If, let's say, you go to this particular asset manager or this insurance company that has offered you this investment, and they promise you something, is it good? Is it the best thing to actually sign something when they say, yes, we are going to protect, this is what we're going to do? Should they do that in writing, and you actually sign it with them and say, okay, I want you to do it in writing, black and white, saying you are going to protect, and this is what you are guaranteeing, at least to this amount of interest, if anything?
So you find a lot of that in terms of you find, as I said, some of these are actually managed in some form of like a pot, like a basket. So you then find, let's say you are working, and you know part of it is it's a pension contribution. So you'll find, as an organization, you've got trustees there who are trustees of the pension fund for the organization. So normally, as an employee, that's your first point of contact, because those trustees actually have got a fiduciary obligation and governed by law. So they exist to make sure that they act in the best interest
of the customer,
of you as a liability contributor, because you're contributing your money towards this. So if it's a formal organization like that, absolutely, you've got to reach out to your trustees who are entrusted to govern investments from pension funds, and make sure that you've got some of those explicitly in writing. You know what's happening, you know what's been done, you raise any issues of concern. There's a lot of accountability and governance that's going on. So there's that truth. And then in the other instances that you are indicating, let's say it's an investment collective unit, or it's a policy with an insurance company. Again, you find a lot of times we sign in these things, but you're not necessarily reading the black and white or the gray areas of it. So it's very important that you understand the contract. It's very important that you also then follow up and see what leeway you've got to kind of advise or understand what's happening to your policy and potential returns at a time like this. If in the contract you find that you don't have an explicit opportunity to either advise or whatever they're saying, depending on market conditions, you'll take it. Then it's a learning for the next contract that you get into. It's a learning for an exit strategy and going into something that you then know, I want something that protects me.
In the future. That's very important. You know, I always mention this to my customers before you get into any policies, because what happens is there'll be an agent that comes to your workplace that sells you these policies, and they sound really good, but it's important for you to understand what you're signing for, because sometimes they do terminate without information, and they're thinking they will get a bit of their money, and they get nothing from their money because you haven't read the contract. What is the contract saying, and do you want to be in that type? So if you haven't read your contract, go back to your policy, read it, and actually understand it, and then you can then approach your investor or the person that is holding your policy or your money on what measures are there in place to protect my money. All right, thank you, Moatlhodi. I really, really appreciate this conversation. Let's get into now inflation. How is this going to affect inflation in Botswana?
I think what we need to appreciate about inflation is a measure of a change in prices of goods and services. So it's almost like a ballpark figure. It tells you, are we seeing significant pressures on prices? And because inflation is made up of a basket of items, you've got about 10 in there, including, your most volatile, being maybe your food,
The basics, yeah. Internet is bad again. Okay. Hi.
Oh,
yeah.
You froze for a minute. So
you froze
paused.
too. Actually, you know what I think we should do? Because now I think internet is getting busier and busier. Everybody's going and online. Can we continue this conversation again? Where I'm gonna stop it here. I'm gonna stop this interview here so that we can record again on an early morning, maybe tomorrow, another day. And
Cool.
now we can talk about inflation. We can talk about how this is going to affect the economy as well, and what does it mean for household income as well, and also what we're going to discuss is South Africa. What's happening in South Africa? South Africa is in recession. How is that going to affect Uganda directly as a partner in business? Yeah. So yeah, and what to expect in the future. If that's okay with you, we can have this interview even deeper and talk about this deeper. Yeah.
Not a problem. I do it. Works better.
Yeah, works better. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. This is very informative. I hope everybody's has gained from this. Please write questions for the next interview so that we can ask Moatlhodi as many questions and we can answer them and dissect this to the T so that you're protected and you can actually know what to do. Prepare for the future. How can you do income? How can one prepare themselves? Yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Moatlhodi, for this. We're really appreciative of your time.
Thank you, Lorato. Let's chat tomorrow.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.